in the far reaches of northern Europe, where dense forests stretch endlessly toward the horizon and frozen rivers carve the land with relentless precision, there existed a realm not yet united, a kingdom fragmented by tribes and bound by ancient loyalties. This was the land of the Swedes and the Yates, a land where the rise and fall of kings shaped the destiny of a people, where loyalty was fragile, ambition was dangerous, and every decision could ignite a war. Imagine the cold northern winds whipping across rugged coastlines, carrying whispers of plots, alliances, and betrayals, as noble warriors rode across snow-dusted plains, swords glinting in the pale winter sun. This is medieval Sweden, a kingdom emerging from the shadows of the Viking Age into a new era of monarchy, diplomacy, and warfare. The kingdom of the Swedes and Yates, as it was known through the 13th century, was not a unified state, but a collection of autonomous tribes, each with its own customs, laws, and ambitions. Belonging to one tribe could determine your status, your safety, and your political influence. Unlike much of medieval Europe, where kings ruled with near absolute authority, in Sweden, power was a fragile commodity. Nobles elected kings, assemblies determined succession, and tribal allegiances often overrode loyalty to the crown. The echoes of the Viking past resonated strongly here. The same traditions of courage, cunning, and blood feuds that had defined the Norse world continued to shape politics and warfare. Into this turbulent world emerged King Inga the Elder, a ruler whose ambition and wisdom would attempt to unify a fragmented land. Inga's reign was a delicate balance of diplomacy, warfare, and strategic marriages. He waged campaigns against Norway and Denmark, asserting control over contested provinces such as Skye, and forging alliances to strengthen his claim to authority. For 3 years, he extended his power into neighboring lands, demonstrating both ambition and the skill necessary to command loyalty in a divided kingdom. Yet even Inga the Elder's remarkable efforts could not prevent the fragility that defined Swedish monarchy. His death left a vacuum of power, and the throne passed to nephews whose ability to rule was far less assured. Philip and Inga the Younger inherited a kingdom rife with internal divisions. Chronicles portray them as indulgent and inattentive rulers, vulnerable to the machinations of noble families and the shifting tides of tribal loyalty. Their reigns, though brief, highlight a central truth of medieval Sweden. Kingship was not merely a birthright, but a responsibility that required constant vigilance, military prowess, and political acumen. The nobility held enormous influence. Assemblies convened to elect or depose kings, reflecting a balance of power that was rare in Europe at the time. Sweden was a kingdom in which authority was constantly contested, and the ambitions of powerful families could destabilize even the most capable monarchs. Rigenvald Napta rose to the throne after these turbulent years, attempting to secure loyalty through a tour across the kingdom. Yet he made fatal miscalculations, bringing too few troops and failing to take hostages, a customary safeguard of authority. In the West Goland region, the Yates seized their chance. Under cover of night, they assassinated Rigen, mocking him with the nickname Kapavda, empty-headed, a cruel reflection of his political naivety. This brutal episode foreshadowed the cyclical nature of Swedish dynastic struggles. Ambition, betrayal, and violence were inseparable from the pursuit of power. Surker, a king of remarkable military talent, emerged amid this turbulence. He reclaimed Gothland from Danish control, reuniting Sweden and stabilizing a kingdom teetering on the brink of chaos. Strategic alliances, including marriage to the widow of Inga the Younger, strengthened his claim and provided a model for consolidating power through both diplomacy and force. For over 2 decades, Surker maintained authority, navigating conflicts with neighboring Denmark and Norway while ensuring loyalty within his own lands. Yet even he could not escape the ever-present threat of assassination, reminding all that in medieval Sweden, survival required vigilance as much as valor. The dynastic rivalry between the houses of Surker and Eric defined Swedish politics for nearly 60 years. Each dynasty ascended the throne, only to face rebellion from the other. Kings were slain, exiles returned with foreign troops, and alliances were forged and broken in a complex web of ambition and loyalty. Danish and Norwegian interference often intensified these struggles, turning local disputes into international conflicts. Leaders like Karl Spurkson, Magnus Henriksson, and others navigated these turbulent waters with a combination of strategic insight, military prowess, and political cunning, balancing the demands of their people, nobles, and foreign powers. Religion, too, became inseparable from rulership. King Eric IX's devotion to Christianity marked a turning point. He built churches and monasteries, strengthening not only spiritual life, but also the legitimacy of the monarchy. His campaigns in Finland were simultaneously military and religious, combining conquest with conversion. Legend recounts that a golden cross appeared in the sky when Eric landed on Finnish shores, symbolizing divine favor. While historical sources note that such details were embellished in later chronicles, the story reflects the increasing intertwining of faith, power, and identity in Sweden. The rise of the Fulkung dynasty represented a new chapter in Sweden's consolidation. Jarl Berge, a prominent figure of the period, became the de facto ruler, implementing reforms, fostering trade, and founding towns, including Stockholm. Through the leadership of the Fulkungs, Sweden transitioned from a loose federation of tribes into a centralized state, with legal, military, and economic structures capable of enduring both internal and external pressures. Wars with Denmark and Norway continued to shape the medieval landscape. Territories changed hands multiple times, alliances shifted, and battles were fought across frozen rivers, forests, and fortified cities. Magnus IV faced popular revolts, invasions, and the relentless challenge of maintaining authority over a kingdom where nobles wielded enormous power. Each campaign, each political maneuver, and each act of governance reflected the delicate balance required to sustain Swedish unity in a world dominated by ambition and war. Daily life in medieval Sweden intertwined with these political struggles. Farmers endured harsh winters to grow crops. Fishermen braved icy waters to sustain towns, and merchants maintained trade networks linking Sweden to the Baltic and Northern Europe. Soldiers trained from youth, prepared to defend or expand the kingdom. Noble families juggled loyalty, ambition, and survival. This interplay of ordinary life and dynastic struggle produced a society that, while tested, remained resilient, adaptable, and prepared to endure the challenges of both nature and human conflict. By the late 14th century, centuries of dynastic war, rebellion, and foreign interference had forged a unified Swedish identity. Trade flourished, towns developed, and governance grew more structured. The golden lion of the Fulkung dynasty, preserved in Sweden's coat of arms today, became a symbol of resilience, unity, and the enduring spirit of a kingdom that had weathered countless storms. The Swedes and Yates, once separate and often antagonistic tribes, had merged into a cohesive nation, their shared history a testament to survival, vision, and the indomitable human spirit. Sweden's medieval story is more than a chronicle of kings and battles. It is the tale of a people enduring harsh landscapes, relentless ambition, and centuries of strife to forge a kingdom that could endure. Rivers, forests, and icy seas shaped not only battles but society itself, teaching lessons in resilience, adaptation, and unity. Faith, law, and governance evolved alongside the monarchy, intertwining spiritual and temporal power to create a nation capable of surviving the harshest trials. As the northern lights shimmer across the sky, one can almost hear the echoes of swords clashing on frozen plains, see the flickering torches in castles and villages, and feel the weight of centuries of struggle shaping a resilient people. Every stone, every river, every town in Sweden carries the memory of ambition, betrayal, courage, and vision. From fractured tribes to a unified kingdom, from war-torn lands to emerging trade centers, medieval Sweden endured, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit and the relentless pursuit of unity, identity, and legacy. The early 12th century in Sweden was a time when the line between legend and history blurred, when chroniclers mixed tales of mythical kings with verified rulers, and when oral traditions were scarce, leaving only fragments of truth for modern historians. Yet even within these fragmented accounts, a picture emerges of a land struggling to emerge from the shadows of the Viking Age. King Inga the Elder, whose campaigns extended Swedish influence beyond traditional borders, exemplified the precarious balance required to hold a kingdom together. His battles with Norway and Denmark were more than military engagements. They were strategic assertions of sovereignty, carefully calibrated to signal strength, while avoiding overextension. In the northern forests and snowbound plains, armies moved slowly, constrained by terrain and the harshness of the climate. Horses trudged through icy mud, soldiers wore furs and leather, and the scent of smoke from village hearths mingled with the cold air. Campaigns were planned not only against neighboring rulers, but also against internal dissent, as powerful nobles and rival tribes held sway over regions whose loyalty was often conditional. Inga's ability to unify disparate territories required diplomacy, tribute, and occasionally brute force. His legacy set a standard for his successors, yet even the wisest king could not prevent the recurring cycle of division after his death. The succession crisis following Inga the Elder's death revealed the vulnerability inherent in Swedish monarchy. Philip and Inga the Younger inherited a kingdom fraught with instability, their capabilities insufficient to command loyalty from all corners. Nobles who had once deferred to Inga now acted independently, asserting local authority and sometimes challenging the throne outright. The political landscape of medieval Sweden was thus a constant negotiation, a delicate dance between central authority and tribal autonomy, where even minor disputes could escalate into armed conflict. Regan Valdenapda, who followed the weak reigns of Philip and Inga the Younger, sought to consolidate power by touring his realm to secure oaths of loyalty. Yet his failure to bring sufficient troops and neglect to take hostages, a common precaution in medieval Scandinavia, proved fatal. The Yates, seizing the moment, assassinated him, demonstrating how quickly fortunes could reverse in a land where allegiances were fragile and the ambitions of noble families ran deep. The mocking epithet Kapavda, empty-headed, immortalized his failure in the annals of history, serving as a cautionary tale for future monarchs about the perils of misjudging power dynamics. Into this vacuum rose Surker, a ruler whose military acumen and political skill temporarily brought stability to Sweden. His campaigns reclaimed Gothland from Danish occupation, a strategic region controlling access to the Baltic and securing key trade routes. Surker's marriages, particularly to the widow of Inga the Younger, solidified alliances and created a network of loyalty across the kingdom. For over 2 decades, he managed to navigate both internal factions and foreign threats, exemplifying the combination of diplomacy and martial prowess necessary to rule medieval Sweden. Yet even Surker could not escape assassination, a stark reminder that no king, however capable, was ever entirely safe. The rivalry between the Surker and Eric dynasties dominated Swedish politics for decades. Each faction rose and fell in turn, their fortunes often determined as much by luck and betrayal as by skill. Battles, sieges, and assassinations became almost ritualized, a cyclic pattern repeated generation after generation. Danish and Norwegian involvement frequently tipped the balance as exiled heirs returned with mercenary forces, while local nobles shifted allegiances depending on who offered the most advantageous terms. These dynamics produced a political landscape that was unstable, yet also remarkably resilient, as surviving institutions gradually adapted to accommodate both monarchy and noble influence. Religion played an increasingly central role in legitimizing authority. King Eric IX's fervent support of Christianity, including church building and campaigns in Finland, illustrates how faith was intertwined with both governance and warfare. The alleged appearance of a golden cross in the sky during his Finnish expedition, while likely a later embellishment, became a symbol of divine favor and a foundation for the legend of Sweden's modern flag. Churches and monasteries not only served spiritual functions, but also became centers of administration, education, and political influence, further strengthening the monarchy's ability to unify the kingdom. The rise of the Fulkung dynasty marked a turning point in Sweden's medieval history. Jarl Berge, effectively the kingdom's ruler for a time, implemented reforms that shaped trade, law, and urban development. The founding of Stockholm in 1252 created a political and commercial hub that symbolized Sweden's gradual centralization. The Fulkungs balanced their roles as rulers with the necessity of negotiating with a powerful nobility, illustrating how governance in medieval Sweden was an exercise in both strategy and subtlety. Military campaigns continue to define Sweden's medieval era. Magnus IV faced repeated uprisings, popular revolts, and invasions, while battles for strategic locations like Scania, Gotland, and Erland were fought with high stakes. Armies marched across frozen rivers, fortified towns were besieged, and naval forces patrolled the Baltic, ensuring that warfare was not only a matter of honor, but also of survival. Soldiers trained from youth, while peasants were occasionally conscripted to defend their communities, linking the fortunes of common folk to the successes and failures of dynasties. Life for ordinary Swedes was inseparable from these political and military realities. Farmers endured harsh winters, navigating frozen fields to ensure harvests. Fishermen risked icy seas to sustain towns, and merchants maintained networks that connected Sweden to the broader Baltic and Northern European world. Social customs, festivals, and religious observances offered respite from conflict, creating continuity amid turbulence. This interplay between elite power struggles and daily life shaped a society capable of resilience and adaptation, laying the foundations for the modern Swedish state. By the late 14th century, the repeated cycles of dynastic warfare, rebellion, and foreign intervention had forged a more unified Swedish identity. Trade networks expanded, towns grew in both size and sophistication, and legal structures became more uniform. The golden lion of the Fulkung dynasty, still present in Sweden's coat of arms today, symbolizes the endurance and resilience of a people who had survived centuries of turbulence. Tribal divisions faded into history, leaving a kingdom capable of centralized governance and prepared for the challenges of the coming centuries. The story of medieval Sweden is not merely one of kings and battles. It is a chronicle of human endurance, ambition, and adaptability. Rivers, forests, and icy seas shaped not only warfare but daily life, reinforcing lessons of resilience and ingenuity. Faith, law, and governance evolved alongside the monarchy, blending spiritual and temporal authority to strengthen the kingdom. Through centuries of struggle, Sweden transformed from a collection of fractious tribes into a unified nation, resilient in both identity and purpose. As the northern lights dance across the frozen skies, one can almost hear the echoes of battles fought on icy plains, see the flickering torches of castle halls, and sense the weight of centuries shaping a kingdom and its people. Every stone, every river, and every town in Sweden carries the memory of ambition, loyalty, courage, and vision. From fractured tribes to a unified kingdom, from war-torn lands to thriving towns, medieval Sweden endured. A testament to the enduring human spirit and the relentless pursuit of unity, stability, and legacy. In the shadowed reaches of northern Europe, where dense forests stretch endlessly and icy rivers carve the land with relentless precision, a kingdom struggled to emerge from the echoes of the Viking Age. This was the realm of the Swedes and the Geats, a land of fragmented tribes bound by ancient loyalties, where the rise and fall of kings shaped the destiny of a people, and where the line between survival and annihilation was drawn by ambition, cunning, and valor. Imagine the cold northern winds whipping across snow-dusted plains, the faint glimmer of torches in scattered settlements, and the distant clang of swords in skirmishes whose outcomes would determine the future of a fledgling nation. This was medieval Sweden, a kingdom poised between the vestiges of tribal autonomy and the emergence of centralized rule, a land where every political maneuver, every battle, and every alliance resonated far beyond the walls of castles and fortified towns. The kingdom of the Swedes and Geats, as it was known well into the 13th century, was far from the unified state we recognize today. Each tribe maintained its own customs, laws, and ambitions, and allegiance to the crown was conditional at best. Belonging to one of these tribes was a matter of prestige, power, and survival, and each tribal leader held the capacity to challenge or support the monarchy. Unlike most medieval European kingdoms, where kings ruled with near-absolute authority, Sweden's political structure was dynamic and decentralized. Assemblies of the nobility, known as Thing, could elect and depose monarchs, echoing the egalitarian traditions of the Viking Age. Power was negotiated, contested, and constantly reaffirmed through loyalty, tribute, and, when necessary, bloodshed. It was into this fractured landscape that King Inga the Elder emerged, a ruler whose ambition and wisdom sought to unify a divided realm. Inga's reign was a delicate interplay of diplomacy, martial strategy, and political acumen. He waged campaigns against Norway and Denmark, asserting control over contested regions such as Skye, while forging alliances that extended his influence. Historical records suggests that he ruled over these neighboring lands for 3 years, a feat that combined military skill with shrewd diplomacy. Yet even Inga's remarkable achievements could not prevent the kingdom from plunging into uncertainty after his death. Succession crises, a hallmark of medieval Sweden, loomed as a constant threat to stability. Philip and Inga the Younger inherited this delicate legacy. Chronicles portray them as indulgent, often inattentive rulers, whose reigns were plagued by internal strife and noble machinations. With fragmented authority and rising ambitions among the nobility, these kings struggled to command loyalty. The political landscape of the time demanded a constant negotiation of power, a balance between asserting royal authority and respecting the entrenched influence of tribal leaders. Failure to navigate these complexities could, and often did, result in violent upheaval. Reginvald Napda, who followed these weak reigns, attempted to consolidate power through personal diplomacy, touring the kingdom to secure oaths of loyalty. Yet he failed to bring sufficient troops and neglected the common practice of taking hostages, leaving him vulnerable. The Yates seized the opportunity, assassinating the king in a night attack. His nickname, Kapavda, meaning empty-headed, mocked his political miscalculations and became a cautionary emblem for rulers who underestimated the volatility of Swedish politics. In this land, ambition and inexperience could be fatal. From this turmoil emerged Surker, a king of formidable military and political talent. Surker reclaimed Gothland from Danish control, a strategic region critical for trade and security, and solidified his power through a politically astute marriage to the widow of Inga the Younger. For over 2 decades, he maintained stability, navigating internal factions, foreign threats, and the constant undercurrent of noble ambition. His reign demonstrated the delicate balance required to govern a kingdom where loyalty was negotiated and power perpetually contested. Yet even the most capable rulers could not escape the ever-present threat of assassination, reminding all that in medieval Sweden, survival required both valor and vigilance. The rivalry between the Surker and Eric dynasties defined Swedish politics for nearly 60 years. Battles, sieges, and assassinations became cyclical, with each dynasty rising and falling in turn. Exiled heirs returned with foreign support, alliances shifted, and local nobles played kingmakers with precision. Danish and Norwegian influence often tipped the balance, intertwining domestic disputes with international strategy. These centuries of dynastic warfare forged a political culture in which negotiation, loyalty, and military prowess were inextricably linked. Religion, too, became a central pillar of governance. King Eric IX's devotion to Christianity reshaped the kingdom's spiritual and political landscape. He built churches and monasteries, not merely as religious centers, but as instruments of administration and legitimacy. His campaigns in Finland merged military conquest with religious purpose, exemplifying the integration of faith and governance. The legendary appearance of a golden cross in the sky upon his landing in Finland, though likely embellished in later chronicles, symbolized divine favor and reinforced the growing connection between sacred and temporal power in Swedish rule. The rise of the Fulkung dynasty heralded a new chapter in Sweden's consolidation. Jarl Berge, a powerful noble and strategist, effectively governed on behalf of the crown, implementing reforms that strengthened trade, law, and urban development. The founding of Stockholm in 1252 created a political and commercial hub, centralizing authority and providing a focal point for the emerging Swedish state. The Fulkungs exemplified the merging of royal ambition with noble oversight, creating a resilient administrative framework that could withstand both internal dissent and external pressure. Wars against Denmark and Norway continued to shape the kingdom's fortunes. Magnus IV faced repeated uprisings, invasions, and territorial disputes over strategic provinces such as Scania, Gotland, and Erland. Armies traversed frozen rivers, forests, and rugged terrain, laying siege to fortified towns and engaging in skirmishes dictated by both strategy and necessity. Naval campaigns patrolled the Baltic, ensuring control over trade and territorial influence. These conflicts were not merely political, but social, intertwining the lives of soldiers, peasants, and merchants in a web of obligation, duty, and survival. Daily life in medieval Sweden was inseparable from these political and military struggles. Farmers labored to ensure survival through harsh winters. Fishermen braved icy waters. Merchants maintained trade networks linking Sweden to the Baltic and Northern Europe. Social customs, religious observances, and communal gatherings provided continuity amidst political upheaval. Even as kings battled for the throne and nobles maneuvered for influence, the rhythms of daily life endured, shaping a resilient society prepared to navigate both human and natural challenges. By the late 14th century, the cycles of dynastic warfare, rebellion, and foreign intervention had forged a more cohesive Swedish identity. Trade flourished, towns developed, and legal structures standardized. The golden lion of the Fulkung dynasty, preserved in Sweden's coat of arms today, symbolized the endurance of a people who had survived centuries of turbulence. Tribal divisions faded, leaving a kingdom capable of centralized governance, resilient in culture and identity, and prepared for the challenges of the coming centuries. The story of medieval Sweden is a chronicle of human endurance, ambition, and adaptation. Rivers, forests, and icy seas shaped society as much as they did battles, teaching lessons of resilience and ingenuity. Faith, law, and governance intertwined with monarchy, blending spiritual and temporal authority to strengthen the kingdom. Through centuries of struggle, Sweden transformed from a collection of fractious tribes into a unified nation, capable of withstanding both internal and external pressures. As the northern lights shimmer across the sky, the echoes of swords clashing on frozen plains can almost be heard. Torches flicker in villages and castles, and centuries of ambition, loyalty, courage, and vision resonate in every stone and river. From fractured tribes to a unified kingdom, from war-torn lands to thriving towns, medieval Sweden endured, leaving a legacy of resilience and determination that still echoes in the modern nation. The golden lion of the Fulkung dynasty remains a testament to a people who carved stability and identity from chaos, crafting a kingdom where unity, law, and culture became the foundation for centuries of continued influence in Northern Europe. Through the lens of medieval history, we witness a land transformed by ambition, betrayal, and vision. Every reign, every battle, and every alliance contributed to the shaping of Swedish identity. Kings rose and fell, yet the spirit of the Swedes and Yeats persisted. They endured wars, rebellions, and foreign invasions, ultimately forging a nation that could withstand the relentless tides of history. From the turbulent early 12th century to the establishment of central authority under the Fulkungs, Sweden's medieval period is a story of endurance, strategy, and the human will to unify, preserve, and thrive.